Hello, squirrel friends. Welcome back to my channel. So, if you like makeup, you're in for a treat. So we're gonna do a kind of fallish Halloween look for this video, and we're gonna be looking at my top 10 favorite horror movies that are currently available on Hulu. These are not like as fantastic as the Netflix ones, but there's still some really great movies, just not as like high budget stuff. But there's some really good stuff that you probably have passed over, like I did for a little bit. And now we're gonna see that these movies are fantastic and good to watch. So let's get started. And these are in no particular order. Okay, so the first movie is Black Rock.
We're here.
Now, this movie kind of took me by surprise. I went into it thinking like, we'll see how this goes. But I didn't have high hopes. So the movie is about three friends that decide to reconnect, go on their way to becoming close again. So they take a trip out to this island where they used to go when they were little girls. Obviously this is horror, so we know that something's not gonna turn out quite right, but we're still ready for the ride. So they get out there and they end up meeting these three hunters and then inviting them, because you just invite random strangers to have a good time with you apparently. None of us do it now, but yeah. So they invite these three guys to come out there and hang out with them, that are already out there, hang out with them. Well, things don't quite necessarily go right, and a lot of bad stuff ends up happening. Like, they get themselves in trouble, and these ladies end up getting themselves in a hard situation. But I really enjoyed the movie. The movie had me going. Like, you didn't really know what was gonna happen. I went in with zero expectations, which is the way you should go into about any movie. But it was pretty good. Like, it had me going all the way to the very end. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen, who was gonna kill who, were they all gonna make it out alive, or were they all gonna make it out not gonna make it out, or who was gonna die? Because then you think like, oh, I know who's gonna die first, and no. But it's a movie about survival and what happens when you're stuck in the woods fighting for your life. So it's a very true story, and like, not true story, but it could actually happen, and all this like horribleness could happen to you. So I think that's the real horror in this movie, not necessarily the subject matter. You know, the next movie was one that I took a chance on again. I had seen it on Hulu quite a bit, but I was like, and it has Hilary Swank in it, so I was like, let's try this. It is The Resident. It is about Hilary Swank. Well, not Hilary Swank herself, but Hilary Swank stars in it. And she is a doctor that has just moved to New York City. She's an ER doctor. And she is trying to find an apartment. She's living in a rundown hotel until then. And she comes across this apartment that's like really way too good to be true. And she's like, how much do you want for it? Which is disgusting how much they want for it. Like, the rest of us are like, shit, girl, I'm not paying that for nothing. So this just kind of emphasizes that, like, if something's too good to be true, don't just take it. Maybe put some thought into it. So she gets this apartment, and yeah, it's too good to be true. Like, it's really nice, especially for the money she has, but she's a doctor, so she got money. But she ends up finding out a lot of weird stuff, and like, the landlord is very strange, and she doesn't really understand why there's nobody else living in the apartment building except for like his crazy dad. And there's just a lot of weird things that happen. And then she starts thinking that somebody's like breaking into her apartment. And then the story is about a fight for survival. There's a lot of like, I didn't really see that coming. I did not see that murder coming. I did not see this coming. I did not see, oh my God, what is going on? People are nuts. I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. I was quite intrigued on like how it was all gonna play out in the end, and like who was gonna get who. And then the most disturbing part of it was how horrible, like how long this like abuse had been going on with her and the landlord. Like, how long what was real and what was not real, who was really telling the truth, like what is going on. And you know the landlord's something wrong with him, like you just know, but you don't want to believe it. It was so fantastic. And the last like end of the movie, the climax part of it is such a thriller. It's so good. The next movie is quite an old one, but it is a goodie. So the next one is Interview with a Vampire, based on the novel by who? Anne Rice. So you're following Louis, who is a newly turned vampire, and he has been turned by Lestat. Lestat ends up coming back in a lot of her movies, her books and movies. This one is vampire horror, but it's not too much horror. Like, it's just not, like, I didn't think it was that scary, but it's a very intriguing. This is based back in the times of, like, plantation eras and the South. And I think it's based in New Orleans, and you are following them going around the city being vampires. And, Louis has, like, a heart. He doesn't really want to eat people, but you're like, you should eat people. Kristen Dunst is in it. Or Kristen Dunst, when she was really, really young, she's like this weird, she gets turned into a vampire, and that's a really freaky part. It's a good movie. It's not like the best vampire movie out there, I don't think, but it is definitely worth watching. It's fun. It's exciting. There's a character called Armand, which is fantastic for me because that's mine, like, French version of my name. I've never read the books, so I don't know how true they are to the books, because I don't really like that kind of romancy. I don't like vampires to be romantic. I like them to be killers. And this one does do that. Like, there are a lot of, like, horrible moments, especially, like, what the vampires do to each other, I think is more horrifying than what they do to the humans or what the humans do to them. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. The end is quite the turn. Like, you really didn't see that coming. You really don't see the end coming. So it is a good movie to watch if you want something that's old-timey. Not old-timey, it's not that old. It's pretty old. But you want something that's going to be historical fiction and keep you on the edge of your seat, and you really don't know what's going to happen. There's a lot of horrifying things that the vampires do to each other. But it's a pretty good movie. It's not a lot of jump scares, but, like, it's still pretty good. Okay, the next one is a really old one. Well, it's older. It's like early 2000s. Not as old as Interview with a Vampire, but still pretty good. It is Hostel. Hostel is definitely nasty, okay? Hostel is gross. Hostel is something that, like, you're gonna like. Hostel is definitely torture porn. If you want to be disgusted, yes, this is the perfect movie for you. This movie was gross. So gross. It is about a group of tourists that go to Eastern Europe and then get caught up from their hostel into being put into, like, this ring of murderers that are killing Americans and different groups of youngsters for these people to literally torture and hunt. It's disgusting, and they get bought and things like that. It was quite a grosser. Like, it's gross. Like, if you want that kind of horror movie that's gonna, like, gross you out and you're like, ooh, this is nasty, this is the one for you. If you do not want something gross, do not watch this damn movie, okay? This movie is nasty. It's nasty. Fun fact about this movie, when I watched it for the first time, I watched it with one of my friends, Mindy, and we watched it. We both wore glasses. So we watched the movie, but we would take off our glasses during some of the grosser parts because it was pretty fucking nasty, dude. Like, I'm telling you, like, it was pretty fucking gross. But if you want something that's gonna gross you out and horrify you, this is the ticket. It takes itself seriously. There is no, like, dark humor about it. It's a good movie. The next one, fucking gross and great. It's Austrian, newer. It is Good Night Mommy. Now, Good Night Mommy is about two little boys, they're twins, and their mother has had some kind of surgery to her face where she has bandages all over her face and she doesn't look human anymore. She looks like some kind of creature. So, and you don't really ever know if, like, it was, you're led to believe, like, it's plastic surgery, but you don't know why, and you're not really ever sure of like what was the reason behind her getting all this plastic surgery. Was it like a horrible accident that happened? Because you kind of are led to believe that she might have been somebody rich based on like the house that they live in, which is ginormous and very up to date. But it's about these two boys trying to navigate this new world that they live in with this mother, and they don't really think she's mom anymore. And do you blame them? Like, if you're like a little kid and you're feeding off each other's like fears and worries, wouldn't you kind of think maybe that's not my mama no more, especially if you're a little kid? Like, girl, please. But it is definitely a slow burn. So if you're not interested in that, you want something that's gonna grab your damn attention from right away, this is not the movie for you. It is definitely worth the slow burn. It's a lot of creepiness. Like, you're like, what did I just watch? Is this real? And so you can't really tell, like, if you're just buying into the little boy's psychosis of like what they really think that is happening to their mom, or if she is our mom anymore, or like, did something really happen to her? Like, is it not their mom anymore? Was it ever their mom? Stuff like that. Like, you start questioning your own sanity. It reminds me a lot of like Darcy Coates books, where you're like, what? Are they nuts? Is it a monster? Or am I nuts? Or are you nuts? Who's nuts? I don't know. But yeah, the movie was, the ending is so weird. So weird. And there are some really unsettling moments that take you out of yourself. There are some very, very unsettling moments. I'm just gonna prepare you for that. It's very, very odd, okay? Like, it's super odd. Okay, the next movie is an old one. I watched this, I think, like, way back when. Hello? It's kind of nice to watch movies like this because they show you what it was like before we had, like, fucking cell phones and everything that told you, like, what the hell, like, basic, like, surveillance on your damn life all the time. It is When a Stranger Calls. I know, it wasn't like the best acted, and no, it wasn't like the best movie in the world, and it is a remake, but it was good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And yeah, like, the trailer gives you like most of like the action, like what happened and stuff like that. It really is like, I think they did a really good job of recreating this classic movie from the 70s. So the basic premise is like this girl, she is babysitting, and all of a sudden she starts getting these creepy calls, and the guy's like, have you checked on the kids and stuff like that? And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with this person? And then they realize that the goddamn calls are coming from inside the house. The original is not better. I'm just telling you that. The original just as corny. Like, especially by like our standards of like horror. The original's not better, so I don't know why people are like, this one sucked. It didn't suck. It was really good. The acting isn't like everything you'd ask for, but still, I enjoyed the movie greatly. Like, the action is really good. It's a lot better than the original. The action is better, but it was a really fun little movie that basically tells you like the dangers of babysitting. Who would have thought? Okay, the next movie is a new one. I know like our current COVID situation probably didn't help this movie come out and have like the reaction and like everything that it needed, because this movie was fan-fucking-tastic. I went into it with low standards of this, like really low standards for this movie. It is Crawl. It is about a girl named Haley, and they are having a hurricane in Florida. She's concerned for her father because he is kind of like he's selling their childhood home, and he's divorced, and his wife's left him and all this stuff, and so he's not in the best like mental space. She goes to check on him, but there's something really wrong. So she's like, I can't find him, his dog's here, his car's here, I don't know where the hell he is. So she goes down to the basement, and he's been hurt, but there are 2 crocodiles down there. And you're like, what the fuck? So I'm also just gonna tell you, the crocodiles do not act like crocodiles. I do not think a crocodile would act like this. Okay, just gonna tell you, real talk. A crocodile's not gonna act like that. There's a lot of things that the crocodiles do, like hunt and pack kind of things. They don't do that in real life, okay? But it still didn't detract from the movie, I didn't think. I thought the movie was still fucking great. I loved it. It was really action-packed, like you had no idea who was gonna survive, and like the death. Okay, they were like Lake Placid scary, like you were like, what the world? They were really good. Like some of the deaths you're like, girl, you didn't see that coming? Like you did not see that big old creature coming up behind you? Like you just really? It's very cool. It's not realistic in the least. Like no, crocodile, alligators do not act like that. Alligators? Yeah, alligators, not crocodiles. Sorry, I said crocodiles. Bad side. Yeah, these alligators do not act like this. They don't act like that in real life. I'm pretty sure they don't. But it was still really fun. I had a good time with this movie. The end, you're rooting for Haley so much. You're just rooting for her. You want her to do well. You want her to save her daddy and save herself and get her ass out of there and save everybody in the process. Yeah, you do. It was a fantastic movie. Stories not that great, but like whatever. What horror movie has like the best story, okay? Okay, the next one is based on a book, again, Odd Thomas. It's about a guy, his name is Odd Thomas. I know, you were shocked as I was. But he can see into like the netherworld kind of thing. Like he can see other creatures. They never really tell exactly what they are. They are these little things, not little things. They're like the horrifying creatures that only he can see. And if he lets them know he can see them, then they kill him. He can see and pretty much tries to evade disasters from happening. So he does this where he can see them and then he knows something bad's gonna happen, so then he tries to stop it. But this time, something is really going weird. Like, there's a lot of these little creatures all in one area, and you're like, what the hell is... He's like, what is gonna happen? It is based on the book series the same name by Dean Koontz. No, I did not read the book, because sometimes I get tired of Dean Koontz, because he is not like the best person with endings. Just being honest. His endings do not align with my like idea of how horror movies should end, horror novels should end. He has some really good ones, like some are really good. This one is a pretty good series. It's lasted for a long time. It's a really long running series. I was kind of hoping that they would keep it going, but unfortunately the main actor, he did die, so that's really sad. But yeah, this movie's really good. Like, it keeps you guessing. It's probably one of those movies you saw and was like, no thanks. Well, I'm telling you, it's worth watching, especially for like this time of year when you want to watch something kind of creepy and otherworldly and spooky ooky. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. The story was good behind it, unlike some movies. Yeah, I know I just said like horror movies don't have the best storylines. This one had a pretty good story. You root for him a lot. He's a really good character. He's a really good hero. I really enjoyed the movie. There was nothing really wrong about it. The creatures are messed up. Like, they are just, honest to God, messed up. Like, just really weird looking things. Okay, popped in my eyeliner. The next movie is Cabin in the Woods. This one is more of a horror comedy. So you follow 5 college students that are going on this like cabin in the woods retreat kind of thing. You got the like basic tropes for everything, like the virgin, the, let's just say it, the slut, the weird dude, the jock, and the smart guy. The guy that's like intelligent and will get them through the whole situation. Now, what you don't realize is that when you get to the cabin is rigged, okay? So there are some puppeteers behind the whole thing, and you realize that this is quite quickly turning into a puppet show where these kids are basically being sacrificial lambs for this. You really don't know until the end. Like, you're like, what? How big this scene goes for. So the main premise is that these kids go into the woods and they have like a choice of what creature is gonna kill them. And all of them have to die except for the virgin. She doesn't have to die, but she can. sad but true. But they have to die in, like, I think a specific order too. But they end up selecting redneck zombies, cannibal zombies. It's really funny because then they go behind the scenes and you're like, what is going on? Where's this going? But it was actually really interesting because they make fun of a lot of like old horror tropes, like the girl that has had sex, she always dies first and stuff like that. And yeah, in this movie she does. But there's a lot of awkward moments too, but it was so funny and entertaining. I loved it. The stoner dude in it, he's funny. I freaking liked it all. They give you all the gags away. Like, it's really interesting, like, how much you see behind it. How much you see behind the scenes and, like, what they're doing. And then, like, that they're doing this in other countries, too. So it's weird that they're doing this in other countries. They're all just trying to save the world, which is funny in itself that, like, what? You are trying to save the world by killing these kids? All right. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it. I've watched it a couple times. It's definitely worth watching multiple times so you can see more stuff. Each time you watch it, you're like, oh, I didn't notice that last time, that there's a lot of weird stuff. But it is funny. It's not necessarily scary. There are some horrifying moments, especially at the very end, at the climax part, when it gets into the end. Messed up stuff. Some really horrifying stuff. So if you don't like horror and gore and stuff, maybe not for you at the very end, but definitely a good story. Good concept. I really liked it a lot. The idea behind everything, the thought behind all of the scripts and the wording and how they played everything and the humor. I just enjoyed the humor. I don't typically like horror comedies, but this one I really enjoyed. Fantastic movie. Just can't say anything more about it. I just really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I hope you guys enjoy it too. Okay, so the last one is based on a book again, because I'm a book nerd. So this is one of my favorite books from when I was growing up, Pet Sematary. Yes, and it is spelled wrong on purpose because little kids supposed to be spelling it. But this movie is different. It's a remake again, but it's really, really different from the original. There's different deaths. Right away, you realize that if you read the book, there's a different death. It's not the little boy, it's somebody else. The acting is a lot better. They did play a lot more of the movie stuff. Like, there was a constant guy that had died in the very beginning of the book, and he kind of comes back. You get a lot more of the mythology from the original book than you did in the first making of this movie. I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed how they flipped it. I enjoyed how they made things different at the very end. I just enjoyed the little things that they made different, because at first I thought, oh, I'm not gonna like this. I'm not gonna enjoy the differences. They need to stay true to the original movie, the original book, and the original how it happened. But I think the way that they did it was awesome. And why they changed things was great. I enjoyed the changes that they did make. I enjoyed the old man better in this one. He wasn't so decrepit that you were like, I don't think he can actually help anything. The whole movie was better, I think, than the original. Like, which is hard to do. Like, you're making a remake of a movie of a book, so it's kind of hard. They're already kind of set up for failure. But I enjoyed this remake a lot. The cat was messed up. Oh, Church was just gross. I enjoyed that because he was like that in the books. I enjoyed how they did flip stuff from the book, but they did it with a purpose, and they stayed true to a lot of the concepts that the book had. Fun fact, did you know the book was never supposed to be published? He wrote it and then thought, this is too gross, so he put it in his desk. And then his wife found it and was like, you need to publish this. And so he did. So now we have this. But this is one of my first horror books ever that I read. And yes, I read it when I was in middle school because I was that little weird kid. But that's my list. I hope you guys enjoy them. Have you guys seen any of the movies? Do you enjoy the movies? Do you hate any of the movies? Tell me why. Why did you hate this movie? Why did you enjoy it? Are you going to watch any of them now that we've gotten to see them? What about the look today? Not one of my favorites, but it's still like fall, Halloween colors. I really enjoy this like eyeliner right now. So I hope you guys are being happy and safe out there. Keep wearing your masks. Be nice to each other. I can't stress that enough. Be nice. I know we're under a lot of stress. I know everybody's hurting. Everybody's worried about money. But just try to be nice. It doesn't help anybody to go out there and be mean. So be a sweet person. Try your best to be patient with other people. If they're having a bad day, let them have a bad day. But I will see you guys again next Saturday for some more movies or books. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you want to hear more about books or you want to hear more about movies. I'm kind of enjoying this movie thing for a little bit, so we'll see how that works out. Okay, guys, have a great morning, afternoon, evening, or middle of the night, whatever it is going on right here now with you guys. I will see you again later. Bye.